Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in this video we'll be talking about what it looks like to have Rahu in your 12th house, Ketu in your 6th house. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So what happens when Ketu is in your 6th house, Rahu in the 12th house? Well, just a quick disclaimer that first you have to see what sign are these nodes positioned in. This will make a huge difference in the interpretation, along with are there any planets conjunct with Rahu or Ketu or planets aspecting. You also want to see the dignity of Rahu and Ketu in your D9 Navamsa. So I'm very familiar with this placement because I have Ketu in the 6th and Rahu in the 12th from my moon's position. And I should have said this earlier in the previous video that you can look at these nodes from your moon along with your ascendant. So we first have to start with Ketu in the 6th because Ketu is our past life experience. It is the root, the source of where we are coming from. So with Ketu in the 6th house, this is showing that in a previous life you had to deal with a lot of mundane, routine, everyday situations, that you had to deal with a lot of disputes and enemies and obstacles in life. So this comes naturally to you in this lifetime. With Ketu in the 6th, you are someone who is very practical, who is able to deal with the everyday details of life, able to deal with routines, able to get on top of all health situations, able to deal with enemies and obstacles with ease. However, because this is your past life experience, this is also an area where you become detached from. And so there is a desire to move away from the ordinary and mundane routines of life. With Ketu in this 6th house, you can sometimes have a conflict within your mind where you are wanting to deal with everyday responsibilities but find that you are escaping from it. There can be a tendency to avoid arguments, to avoid all sorts of conflicts within your life when Ketu comes into this 6th house. You are wanting to get along smoothly with others to fit in, and there can be difficulties around fitting in, with finding the right place, with finding the right connections, with finding the right career situation. There's always a feeling of not being able to fit in. Ketu in the 6th gives you a lot of mental energy. So in this position, you want to be careful about overanalyzing, about overthinking. This can be a position where you become overly critical, where you become overly judgmental of others as well, as this is making you very analytical about every situation within your life. With Ketu in the 6th, you also want to pay attention to your health, as this 6th house again is dealing with all of the everyday routine situations, including your health and diet. So Ketu in this 6th house can disturb your diet. There can be issues around digestion. This can also bring illnesses, especially when you are undergoing the Ketu Mahadasha. So it's very important that you are getting on top of all of these issues. Due to this being the natural house of Virgo, you have all of the natural qualities within you that are related to the sign of Virgo. So this can make you very skilled in writing, in research, in healing, and helping others. You're very service-oriented with Ketu here in this 6th house. This can also give you a huge attachment towards animals, as the 6th house is all about small pets. And this can especially give you an attachment towards dogs because Ketu is the signifactor of dogs. Ketu in the 6th house is going to give you a great deal of compassion. With this position, you have a huge heart. Your aim is around helping others. And we'll talk more about that as we get to Rahu in the 12th house. With Ketu here in this 6th house, you can find that you are attracting all sorts of conflicts within your life. But at the same time, Ketu gives you the skill to overcome these issues. And so this tends to be a position that improves with time. Ketu is also going to aspect onto the 10th house and the 2nd house of your chart. And again, this is going to especially become strong during a Ketu Mahadasha. So Ketu's aspect onto the 10th house can give issues with a father figure. There can be a loss of father, there can be all sorts of conflicts and disagreements, even suspicions towards the father. This can also create difficulties difficulties with your career. For some of you, there are difficulties around finding the correct career path. This also, though, can give you many opportunities in your career, but there can be a feeling of detachment in this area where there can be laziness, there can be disassociation. Again, trying to escape the mundane, routine way of life. And so this is an excellent position for being self-employed, for finding a path that is true to you, that has some sort of meaning and purpose. And this is especially a great position for careers that are around helping others. Once again, as Ketu sits in the 6th house of service and healing. As Ketu aspects over to the 2nd house, you can have issues around family life as well, especially from an early age. There can be difficulties in this area. This can create some financial difficulties as well. And we'll talk more about this again as we get into Rahu in that 12th house. But it can create some expenditures that you want to make sure that you're getting on top of. As Ketu is 12th from the 7th house, this can also create conflicts within relationships. And so this is an area where there's a lot of work that needs to be done around understanding how to get around these difficulties and challenges in your area of relationships. Along with healing and service, you can be attracted to careers that have to do with resolving conflicts, such as police work, working in areas of law, all sorts of areas that are all about controlling situations, resolving conflicts, helping others with their difficulties. This can be the position of a therapist, of a doctor, of a healer of some sort. This is all about, again, your service towards others, your ability to help, to show compassion towards others. This especially can be a position where you are showing compassion to those who are struggling in life through addiction, through all sorts of difficult situations. As I said, there's a tendency to abandon responsibilities within the daily routine. So there can be a feeling of overwhelm, of anxiety, of responsibilities building up and becoming overwhelmed by this, which is creating this dissociation. And this takes me to Rahu in the 12th house. Rahu in the 12th house is giving a desire to escape from the mundane, but there is a strong need to pay attention to how you are escaping. This can be a position of great spiritual devotion or a position of escaping into overindulgence. So it is all about how you are directing and channeling this energy. With Rahu in the 12th house, you can have vivid dreams and you can receive psychic messages through your dreams as well. So this is an excellent position to keep a dream journal. With Rahu in the 12th house, you can sometimes get glimpses of past life experiences through your dreams as well. So you tend to have a very vivid dream life. Rahu in the 12th can also give you a very active imagination as well. So this is an excellent position for a writer, for an artist, where you can have a profound imagination and put this into your creations. Rahu in the 12th gives you a deep understanding of the subconscious. So once again, this is excellent for any healing professions, as you're able to understand the human mind, able to have this deep understanding of the difficulties and challenges that other people go through. This tends to give you a great sensitivity to the pain and suffering of others. On the negative side, though, all of this activity within the subconscious mind can give you a great deal of anxiety, of paranoia, of fears coming into the mind that can overwhelm you. So this is a very important position for spirituality. Moving into a spiritual practice can help you to eliminate the anxieties that are coming through this Rahu 12th house. At some point, Rahu in the 12th house can take you into foreign lands as well. And this can even give you foreign settlement, as Rahu will aspect over to the 4th and the 12th house, particularly during the Rahu Mahadasha. So this can take you away from your home into foreign locations. This can also indicate a change of residency. So there are all sorts of changes that are happening around your home environment as you enter into this Rahu period. there can be difficulties around the home, around the family that are coming up with Rahu aspecting onto the fourth as well. Ultimately, this is a position that can take you through great transformation and change. With the final aspect onto the eighth house, you can experience sudden ups and downs where there are losses. And so this is all about leaving behind the past. As Rahu comes into this 12th house of loss, there's a need to detach, to let go. And this can take you into a brand new experience, a brand new identity where you are leaving behind your past. With this position, it is also good to have faith within yourself and to remain positive. Once again, this Rahu in the 12th house can bring in anxieties, and this can sometimes manifest around your skills and talents. So it is very important that you, again, are getting that deep introspection, that you're going into a spiritual practice. Because when you are out of alignment with yourself, there is a tendency to spiral into anxiety and paranoia. Rahu in this 12th house can make it difficult if you are distracted by outside influences. So it is very important to practice deep breathing, to go into meditation, to find some sort of technique where you are able to go inward. At some point, there also can be a tendency to isolate as well. Again, it is important to use this isolation for spirituality rather than overindulgence. On the negative side, there can be addictions, there can be escapism of all sorts, and you want to be very careful about substances as it can be difficult to break addictions with Rahu here in this 12th house. So overall, this placement of Ketu in the 6th, Rahu in the 12th is all about balancing the physical and the spiritual and moving into this direction of Rahu in the 12th, moving towards God, moving towards spirituality, compassion, giving to others, helping others. This is a huge part of your destiny.